Whether it's in the sea or in the air, the U.S. Coast Guard's motto is always ready. Since 1935, Coast Guard Air Station Port Angeles has served and protected all of us here in the Northwest. Tonight, an inside look at how Sector Puget Sound, as it's called, operates.
If you look up, they're really hard to miss. The orange on these Coast Guard helicopters does stand out after all. In some ways, they're a beacon of hope for those who need help, but also inspirational too.
I used to see these guys, the MH-65, fly over growing up.
For Christian Goodwin, being in the Coast Guard runs in the blood.
I've had family history in the Coast Guard since, I want to say, the mid-30s.
It came a little bit longer for Lieutenant Darren Coleman.
Aviation was always something that I was really interested in, certainly going to air shows and those types of things. Coast Guard, now that came very late in the game.
But sooner or later, it doesn't matter. They are there now. Their job.
You're on a 24-hour shift, kind of like a firehouse, and whenever the call comes in, you do what you need to do.
Like this rescue in August at the Salt Creek Recreation Area. The video that you see is from the hoist camera on the MH-65 Coast Guard helicopter. A 12-year-old boy who had explored when the tide was low got stranded on the rocks.
He was cold and wet, but the tide was coming in, and there was a risk of him falling in the water and having the current sweep him away.
The challenge in this case was the terrain itself.
And that's always an unnerving. Hey, how far are we actually from the trees and from the cliff? So avoiding any sort of obstacles, that's the big and immediate one.
After hoisting the boy and the rescue swimmer up,
we came around, landed in the park, and then delivered the boy back to his parents.
There's been rescues in the dark of night, like this one in August of a woman who got lost hiking near La Push, and rescues on board boats, like airlifting a Canadian Navy sailor that sustained a head injury last month.
It is riskier than maybe some other jobs, but it's a job that we train for. We factor in tons of safety considerations for ourselves, for the people that we're picking up.
The base on Port Angeles makes 250 to 300 rescues just like these every year all along the Washington coast. It's something they say they are called to do.
It's good to just work as a team, as an air station, to get out there and get those people out of those bad situations.
Brian Flores reporting on the heroes among us. Coast Guard Air Station Port Angeles was the first permanent one to be built in the West Coast. That was 84 years ago. More than 120 active duty service members work on base. Well, a staggering number of people